I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Get ready to be back on. Get ready to be back on. Yes. Yes. Almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. DJ Faye. Grand Rising, Kings and Queens, Grand Rising. Yes, I'm almost back. You look up in the right hand corner, you see my logo. It's there. It's there. It's there. Peace, peace, peace. So we're getting ready to do it. We're getting ready to do it. Oh, Princess Mina, before we say anything, Princess Mina, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're princess and thank you. And later on the broadcast, I'm gonna announce a couple of people that sent me stuff. And you see, as you send me stuff, as you do, the actual podcast grows and gets better. So I'm gonna start adding a lot of things to it. And we're gonna really blow up. Okay, Riri. Peace, peace. She's going to be moderating for me as always. And I would like everybody to start sharing more. Um, I was looking up some stuff, and so yes, the algorithm counts when even if they shadow ban me, the more likes and the more shares that I get, the more broadcasts will be able to go out. So thank you. Please share. Please share. Please share. Please share and subscribe and donate. So peace, peace, peace. Now listen, okay. So now with this new thing, I haven't quite got it all the way in yet, but I'm working on it. I'm definitely working on it. So Monday, tomorrow, I will be able to do a lot of show more pictures. I'll actually be able to show some recordings and some clips and stuff. So I'm definitely going to do that tomorrow. I have some 70s clips that I would love to show you guys. Just a clip, a little snippet of it. And we're going to get that rocking and rolling. Okay, today, DJ Faze explains 1970 to 1975 hip hop. Okay, so where do I start? 1970. Let's talk about 1970 and what was basically happening in 1970. For those that don't know, in the Bronx. I don't know. I know a couple of things that happen in other places, but we're going to talk about the Bronx for right now, the home of hip hop. And so in 1970, remember, there were a lot of different activities that were happening because of the war. Remember, that was still the Vietnam War. And so troops were coming in and out, and the vets were coming in and out, and we had the hippie scene, the protests against the war. We had different drugs, psychedelic drugs. I'll never forget the acid drug scene that was going on. And so we had a lot of different things going on at the time. But one of the things that I remember was that we had a lot of people migrating. A lot of people were migrating to the Bronx at that time. And so the first people that I can remember were actually uh, they're Irish. The Irish were coming in a lot, and they were basically feuding with the Italians, and that a lot of that came in 1970. And so it was a it was like a battlefield. When you go to some places, it was a battlefield. And I'll never forget this one time we were going past Little Italy, over on the side where the I guess the Fordham Road beginnings of those little streets going down near the zoo and stuff. So on that road, there was literally like firemen against police and people against each other, and in that, like, it was a war going on in those streets. And I was very, very young, and I remember seeing that, and that was something that was something to see. You know, that was something really, really to see, that we had saw, but we saw it with us. So to see them really feuding, I mean, in the streets, and the fire engines going one way and the police going one way, and they're getting out, and it was a scene to see. It was a scene to see. But I say that to say that so in different parts of the Bronx, things were definitely happening. So like I said, that was Little Italy part. And then right next to Little Italy, you had Italians. I mean, not Italians. You had Irish, and their little section started on the other side of like Fordham Road. And so they had their little section that was going closer to Webster Avenue. And so a lot of these things was happening in 1970. Moving up, and please don't get me mad. Don't get mad at me, but don't get me mad. And I actually have it here. I actually have it, so I'm going to read it. Okay. So in 1968 and in 1972, well, let me say a little bit other things, other things. Hold on, before I even go there. Okay, because I want to get it right. I don't want to get it twisted. Okay, so in 72, there was a large migration of Spanish people. Now, I'm not going to say if it was, well, I can say it because you can look it up. This is not just me. You can look this up. So there was, to the Bronx, there was a big, not crossover, but a lot of migration to the Bronx from Puerto Ricans. And so now this is the part where it gets kind of tricky. It gets really tricky because at that same time, you remember in 72 and 73, there were a lot of Jewish insurance scams happening. So what were the Jewish insurance scams? What that was buildings that now had this immigration and this people coming, the migration coming. Their scheme was to burn the building down for insurance money. Okay, this is something that I'm not making up or anything. You can research this yourself. So now remember, this is the part you have to remember. At those times, remember the drug scene, the heroin from the 60s to the mid 70s, heroin major thing that was happening. This was like something that was really, really major in the Bronx and Manhattan. So at the time when the migration came, these buildings were getting turned on fire. And then you had a lot of these Puerto Ricans that didn't speak English. That's the catch. The Spanish people that came didn't speak English. So when they were put into these somewhat dilapidated buildings, there was a big thing to where they had to get to know English to get these programs or anything, any kind of help. Because you remember, if they're migrating, they're not migrating to jobs, they're migrating to get their establishment straight. And so this caused a big problem. It really did. It caused a big problem. And so now one of the problems was this, that once these buildings were corrupted and abandoned and things, a lot of Spanish people were put into these buildings by way of fault. Like, some of the buildings were took, just took out of existence. And so they didn't have any power, they didn't have any water sometimes, and a lot of these buildings were really corrupt. And so now this is the bad part about it. In 1972, city employee strike. Who was this striking? A 21-day citywide strike that included sanitation workers, with garbage piling up significantly. Okay, so now imagine this. Imagine those buildings, the ones that weren't burnt, the ones that was absolutely just tenement buildings. Those buildings didn't even have a sanitation department to throw out the garbage. And now this is something that is, you have to really look and think. And tomorrow I'll show you some of the pictures from this thing that was happening, because this is a real thing. So now, because of this sanitation problem, what happened? What are the things that happened? And a lot of you guys that are not old enough to remember, but at that time, New York City, the Bronx, had the super rat. The biggest super rat that they found in the Bronx. Now listen to this. This is really, really something. The biggest super rat that was found on Simpson Street. Simpson Street, and it was 11 pounds and like 13 or 14 ounces. 11 pounds and 14 ounces. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So, okay, this is, I don't know if you can see it, but I don't know if you can see it, this guys. Maybe if I put my thing there. That is the super rat that was caught. This 11 pounds and this 14 ounces. So imagine all of these things happening at one time. So this is going on with the super rats. The dope fiends were going into these buildings and shooting up because they couldn't do it right in the street. So all the alleys and all the dirty stuff was happening. And so people were actually running to get out of these areas. They're running to get out of these areas because it became so bad. So, okay, so now remember, like I said about the heroin. So now you have a, a big increase of heroin flooding these areas. So remember, you have the flooding of heroin in these areas. So what happened? People were trying their best to get high to escape this environment. That's what they were doing. They were getting high to escape this environment. And what did it take for you to get high? Money. And so if you didn't have money, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to try to get money. If you're a dope fiend, I don't think you're going to try to apply for a 9 to 5. So they turned into thieves, and a lot of murders happened in 72 and everything. So now let's go back to 70. So in 70, remember, like I said, there were so many different things that were happening, but one thing that was happening for us in 1970 was probably one of the best years as far as funk music was concerned. Not just regular soul music, funk music. And that's what incorporated this how can I say, drum based music. Okay. If you look back and at James Brown, the 68 and 69, and you see the two drummers. Um, a lot of people say that when one of the drummers got tired, the other one kicked in. Some people say that there was a certain rhythm that was played by one drummer, and a lot of the accents were played by the other drummer. And so this based music, this drum based music was something that the younger people were taking gravity to. It was like the younger people. Now, the reason why I say the younger people is because the older people were basically liking love songs, duets, get down music. It's how a lot of us, a lot of you guys were born with the the love making music and stuff like that. So those were the older people. Now the younger people were more getting on the dance floor to dance and show off. The older people were more getting on the dance floor with with their mate, with the one that they were interested in. And so that's a big difference. And you have to understand that. That's something that is a real difference between the dance and the sound of music. Soul music is basically, yes, there's a lot of soul music that has a lot of groove to it, that, this danceable. But funky music is basically music to dance to. So, like I told you, there was a difference. The younger people wanted the funky music, and the older people wanted the soul music. So, at that point, remember when I was saying this is 1970. So there was a change in atmosphere as far as fashion was and rap. Okay, because a lot of people don't realize that rap wasn't just what they call rap now. Your rap was, it was, you could be, your rap could be strong, hustling somebody. Your rap could be strong, finessing someone. Your rap could be strong for, you know politics or anything. It was your rap. It was the way you were doing things. And so for the older men, their rap was to influence the woman, or get to attract the woman to be, a part. Pimp's rap game was it was incredible. I mean, if they can convince a woman to go out and sell their body for them, that's a strong rap. That's something that you move. I like, that's a hypnotizing rap. So, like I said, when the fashion was changing, for the older people, they were more getting into, because another thing that a lot of people don't understand and don't see, if you look at our older family pictures, a lot of times we had suits on for regular days, like just like regular. It wasn't like it wasn't going to a funeral or a church or anything. That's how they dress. They dress like, so when they went to a club or something, they had on a suit and they were sharp. They were sharp as a whistle. And so the turning of that became like groovy, like the bell bottom pants, the turtlenecks, the different furs, the hats, the DC hats, and all of the different knitted hats that were in. So for us, and I could say us meaning, us, the younger ones, we saw that as that's their style. That's their style. Our style was changing as well. because does anybody remember when tube socks came out? They had always been out, but do you remember when you started wearing tube socks and the three color tube socks were the most popular? So if you had a pair of red, black, and green tube socks, you were just the coolest. If you had red with the blue or blue with the red, green, if you had these different colors, like even if you had a solid color and it had a lighter color in the middle, that was cool. That was cool. Another thing that we like to have was the terry cloth shirts. A lot of, if you don't know what a terry cloth shirt is, but terry cloth, not only terry cloth shirt, but a terry cloth wristband or a terry cloth headband, which was supposed to be for sweating. And like I said, it went from BF Goodrich to Converse to Keds, Pro Keds. Another thing that was hip to us was the shorts. Now, I'm gonna tell you, in the beginning of for us, we did have cutoff shorts. And they weren't that long, we did have those cutoff shorts, and I'm not gonna lie. And the reason why we had the cutoff shorts because we might have got a hole in them under, under the knee or at the knee, and because a lot of kids we used to play in our dungarees like it was no nothing. We used to climb, do everything in these dungarees. But anyway, so we wore cutoff shorts. And so now that kind of gear, um, we kind of use because remember in '70, that's when we were actually, so athletic, and a lot of us were already into martial arts, so we needed stuff to move, to actually move around. Um, a lot of times, a lot of times, we would cut off anything. We would cut off jogger pants. Because back then, a lot of time, a lot of the people don't realize that back in those days, jogger pants had no pockets, none. Like there were really no pockets at all. And so we wanted pockets, to put our different things in. And so that's summer gear. Winter gear, like I said, we would have the dungarees, which were Wranglers and Levi's and Billy the Kids. A lot of people don't remember Billy the Kid, but Billy the Kid was a dungaree that had top and bottom. And Wranglers were real. They were like not like how they are now. You could go to Walmart and get some Wranglers. No, the Wranglers used to come out of the Army and Navy store, and they were hard. They were really hard with the leather patch on the back that you stick your belt through. And Levi's had the leather patch too, but Wranglers, I believe Wranglers came out first, and they had that. Another thing that we, like I said, the turtleneck was very, very popular. And the at those times, pea coats, snorkels. This is before the bubble coats come. Army jackets, bombers, was very popular. And if you were one of the cool kids, you actually had a leather or a cashmere coat. A lot of people didn't have cashmere coats because back in 70, that was very, you were like basically had to be rich to have a cashmere coat and cashmere sweaters. So we would wear those things, and like I said, marshmallows were one of the fashion statements that we wore a lot. We had marshmallows in different colors, and there was a couple of things. Now the problem was for us and our crew was that Tom McCann and Buster Brown did have marshmallows. Now they weren't the like the floor shine marshmallows, but they were very close. So we had to uh, figure out how to get better marshmallows and stuff like that. And then Rips came, but I say that to go back to say that so for us that's basically when we started changing the style in which we were just accustomed to. Some of the things that we were playing now as kids were like these some of the games that I remember were Run, Catch, and Kiss, Ring Olivia. I always talk about Skelzies. For Bronxdale, we had Manhunt. Um, Red Light, Green Light was popular back then. Off the Wall, meaning you would take a Spalding ball and you would hit it off the wall and run bases. We used to skate with the iron skates. Um, you know, Checkers was very popular. Game board checkers. Twister was a very popular game that we had, and so there was a lot of indoor games and a lot of outdoor games that we played. But the main thing that we did in 1970 that is so hard to see now is that we did these things as a group. We did it as a group. We didn't just one person. I mean, but you could if you came out early, then you could play. Hit the ball against the wall and catch it or something like that. And so that's one of the things that basically uh, changed as far as going from one year to the next year. A lot of times we were getting cooler. So a lot of times we didn't want to play the games that were played the year before. We didn't want to do that. We wanted to actually get in there and do different things. Okay, now I'm going to jump back to 1972. So remember when I was talking about how this rat influx came and the buildings were in those sections became like survival. It really became survival. And so there were groups of people that attacked, that how can I say, that vultured on people, that just were like stalking and stalking people. And so it was hard to go to certain places without, the fear of getting robbed or getting attacked. So for us, 67, 68, when the Black Spades were formed, that was our protection that surrounded our projects. So when people, would try to come and like rob or steal or do drugs or anything in our projects, they were fought off. So they were fought off, and I mean really fought off. So at that time, and like I said, I can't talk about any other project. I can't tell. I'm talking about Bronx Hill right now. And so that's a big part of why hip hop wasn't spread out yet. 1970, hip hop wasn't spread out. It's 1971, hip hop wasn't spread out yet. It wasn't. Because in order to see these things happening, you would have had to be inside of Bronxdale. And that's why, I look at a lot of these pioneers that say that things were happening, at this time. You have to start from somewhere, and a lot of these pioneers start and creators start after it happened. I was just looking at a video the other day where they were talking about 77. They were talking about 78. And they were talking about breakdancing crews, and they were talking about things Zulu Nation, and they were talking about how their crew came and burnt this one. So always when I hear these things, I say, okay, that's fine, but don't say that that was the beginning of it. Don't say that that was the beginning of hip hop, because you're already stating that, that's what you guys were doing at that time, at 77, 78, 70, even 76. That's what you were doing at that time. But don't say you're the creator of something if you're going to do something that's already being done. And that's why I just try to bring the creation to where, it what it evolved to, and what it evolved to. So a lot of times, you have to understand what was going on at the time of creation. What was going on at the time of this creation of hip hop. And so number one thing was poverty. Number two thing was drugs. When you have poverty, you have drugs, you have crime, you have different things that go with poverty. And so as time was going on, the escape from all of that was music. Plain and simple. The escape from all that poverty and crime and everything was music. And so, like I said it before, because I'm not going to say it today. I'm not going to say it today. The music that we had was our music. It was our music. It was just straight up our music. And so that's what hip hop was created on. That's what it is. If you take out the music and the creation of hip hop, you wouldn't have anything. And that's just it. You'd have nothing. And so I think that is what makes people say that the elements, break dances. A lot of people think that break dancing started hip hop. A lot of people think that Sylvia started hip hop. A lot of people think that graffiti started hip hop. And so, those are some of the things that you have to really look at and say, well, no, I looked at, oh my goodness, and oh wow, Akeem is in here. I saw his name. Akeem, I want to say thank you. And I'm going to start sharing your video much, much more. And I didn't realize that it was you that was in my live the other day. So let's break it down. So Akeem was showing the process of what the actual challenge was between me and Dr. Columbus. And when he shows it, he went into detail what Dr. Columbus said and what I said and what the actual challenge was. And I never really even looked because I didn't even pay it no attention. I knew he wasn't going to be a man of his word at all. But when Akeem broke it down and showed, the actual proof and the actual things, it really made this guy, this Dr. Columbus, show what he actually did to get his name there, for people to know who Dr. Columbus is. And when you look back at the videos and say, he did his name from me, from from putting up a video and just saying something to me with his name in his video. And that's what happened. And now there's another guy that gets like maybe 2-3 views. Now he's doing it. Says he lives in Chicago, and he's making these videos. He done made for about me. He done made about 10, 11 videos. This guy made about me. And at first, I was doing the thing like, yo, I'll bust you, whatever, because you know how I am. But then I had to catch myself. And I had to say, well, oh no, I'm not even gonna respond to him. Like, and that's what I should have did the first time. I shouldn't have not even responded. Just let him just say all the stuff that he wanted to say and act like I didn't even see it. That's what I should have did. But I learned, and I've learned my lesson now, and that's what it's gonna be. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do this because tomorrow, fellas, listen. Tomorrow, kings and queens, I'm gonna be able to put up pictures and video. Okay, pictures and video, and I actually, with my phone, took snippets of the 8mm film that I got from 1970 and 71 and 72. So I will be able to put this on the screen and shoot a couple of things out and prove exactly what we're talking about. So for the next 10 minutes, 12 minutes, I want to take some questions. I want to take some questions about 1970 till 1975. Okay, so let's go back up. First, I'm going to give out some shout outs. Definitely peace to Riri, peace to Princess Mina, peace to China Black, peace to It's Still Juice, Peace to Marvin McKinley. Peace to Patrick Young. Peace to Tony Tano. Peace to the Green Near. Peace to Akeem. Peace to JG11. Peace to Watts Up J Watts. Did I miss anybody? Okay. All right. So now I see they were doing a lot of shouting out, right? So are there any questions for me? We got 11 minutes for some questions. So you guys don't have any questions? If you have any questions, Marvin said speed drugs. Yes, Marvin. That's what was happening. These drugs were basically, cocaine. Now, listen, cocaine has always been cocaine, but the ending 60s and 70s, the drug of choice for a lot of people was heroin. Okay. Let's see what Patrick said. What's good, Cool DJ Phase? What's good, family? Peace to all the queens in the chat. Peace. Definitely. Okay. All right. The truth shall set you free. Free as Phase. Big up DJ Phase. Tony. Yes, definitely. We're definitely gonna do that. Hold on. Peace, God. The Green Near. Those burnt down buildings were mostly in the South Bronx. Yeah. The South Bronx and Harlem. The South Bronx and Harlem had a lot of burnt down buildings, and that was very, very, very terrible for us, the ones that were, families that had, terrible ways to have to get money and stuff like that. So it was a bad thing. Okay, I see that Patrick Young has a question. Cool DJ Face question. So was during the height of Frank Lucas and Nicky Barnes as well as others? Whoa, good question. Okay, so oh man, I'm gonna do a story on that. But when you watch these movies, just have this to know that a lot of these are based on someone that created, these scenarios and stuff. A lot of them are not accurate, to say. Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas were after Bumpy Johnson. And so it was hard for, like I said, Bumpy Johnson he kind of set the whole tone for Harlem as far as drugs, numbers, prostitution. Bumpy Johnson set the cadence for this. There were a lot of when you want to call Frank Lucas's, there was a lot of Nicky Barnes. The highlights of those two were at the time where people, and that's the same thing that I'm talking about, the flyers. Now, Frank Lucas, right? Um, he didn't want to be on a flyer or something. He didn't want to be flamboyant. He didn't want to, have his picture taken. He didn't want to be on in the spotlight. He didn't, and that's just real talk. And Nicky Barnes, he wanted to be in the spotlight. He wanted to throw into the authorities' face that he was going to do what he's going to do, and that's it. So I guess your question is: so this was during the height of Frank Lucas and Nicky Barnes. Um, yeah. Uh, yeah, I would say from I want to say the late 60s to about 1975 was the height of the heroin epidemic. I would definitely say that was the era, you know. I'll even take off a year and go to 74, because by 75, people started doing coke. Coke was more getting in control. So by the time 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, coke was like just a thing. Like it was really like the thing. Like it was like weed. I'll put it to you like that. It was definitely like weed. Hold on. It was like weed. And so that was the big difference. That was the big difference. And in the 70s and the thing. So I hope I answered that question. Okay, I think there's going to be. Is there any more questions? I see a lot of and I know you guys are saying, "Why do you hear that clicking sound?" But I'll take the clicking sound out. Those burnt built Riri says here. Let me throw this up. So Riri says those burnt buildings were by design, very intentionally. Well, you said that one right. And that's one of the things that I try to explain to people that don't get it. Like, the projects was an actual project. The drug epidemics are actually a project. They're actually something planned. These things that are planned are by design. They're by design. And so look at the wipeout that happened for these things. So when heroin came, wiped out a people. When cocaine came, wiped out a group of people. When crack came, wiped out a group of people. And when it was easy access to get guns, it wiped out a set of people. Look at, and this is so hard to even say, but look at what record companies did to our people. Look what it did. It glorified us killing each other. It glorified that. So if that's not by design, what is? What is it? So people, we gotta. It's happening though. It's. I'm not gonna say that it's not happening. It's happening. Those gangsters were all in the late 60s and 70s in Harlem. Yes, yes, definitely. Okay. Now you know Akeem if he got a question, I'm throwing it straight up there. Okay, question. Can you show the earliest technique using the Gerard record player? Everyone heard Herc's technique, but that's not all that was happening. Okay, so showing you, I guess I could show you. One day I will definitely bring out that. But one thing about the Gerard turntable and the creation of hip hop, you have to look at read my book, because there is a technique that made it hip hop that was done with the Gerard turntable. There is a technique that happened with the Gerard record player that is the creation of hip hop. But I cannot tell you guys this, because just like everything that I tell you guys, they take it and steal it. But yes, there is definitely a technique with using the Gerard record player that created hip hop. Okay. What else? What else? Okay, here go one L1. Faze, can you tell us some of the dances besides the freak from the 70s and 1975? I can remember the Patty Duke, the Webbo, the Flintstone, but as I can recall, all those dances were late 70s. I can't recall. Wow, man. Mm, mm, mm. Whew. There are so many dances. There are so many dances. The slop, the funky chicken, the funky pinwing, the slide, the ketchup, the oh my goodness, the whip. The whip was actually, oh my goodness, there was so many different dances. Like I said, the bus stop. Oh my God, there was just so many dances. I'll get a list for you guys, and I'll put up the list, and I'll show a lot of those dances. But yes, there was, so the robot. Yes, someone said the robot. Yes, there was so many different dances that were in the 70s. Okay, what up, Phase? Oh, that's fast paced. What's going on? He said, "What's up?" to the chat. You guys see that? First class citizen is here. Came a little bit late when I'm almost going to be off. And okay, now here go another one. And JG11U3X asked me a question. Now, you know that if I answer this question, that's going to be another reason why they're going to get on. They're going to be hating me. All right. So, Faze, is it true Rican men used to paint their nails and do their eyebrows in the 70s? Yes. Yes. It is definitely true. And a lot of times, see, this is what's it's so hard for me to explain it. There was a great deal of Puerto Rican men that hung with girls and women. That's just the thing of it. There was a lot of Puerto Rican men and boys that hung with just girls. So just like how we would, as kids, we would go out and we would hang out with boys. If you're a boy, you would hang out with a boy, and the girls would hang out with the girls. A lot of the Puerto Ricans would hang out with, if there was a boy, they would hang out with girls. And so a lot of times the girls would practice and do things on these boys. And some of them liked it. Some of them did. And so if you look at, there's a lot of different films and that will show you that was the thing back then, especially in the 70s. That was the thing for Puerto Ricans to be that way. And so it's nothing, it's nothing like I'm not against them being the way they were, but when it comes down to the truth and we say it, that's where the problem comes out. That's what happens. So, but yes, that's a true statement. That's definitely a true statement. Okay, Planet Rockwell, what's up? Peace. I saw you say 1971 was the year the music changed. Can you please elaborate? Yes. So, for us, and I don't know about anybody else because I can only tell you about us. For us, it went from just soul music to danceable music. It went from, sitting on the dock of the bay, or the doo-wopping, or the just those kind of soul music. It went for us to funkier music. So even Otis Redding had some funky music. There was a lot of different funky acts that were being introduced uh, to us. Rufus Thomas, Isaac Hayes started becoming funky. There was a lot of groups that started becoming funky, following James Brown's lead. And, Stax people, you had Stax, there was up and coming, and there was a lot of funky acts. And then of course you had the King label. There was so many different new funky acts. Yes, Paxton says the bump. Now I was talking about the bump earlier, in a couple of other videos before, and now the bump actually started in the 60s, but it gained traction in the 70s. So the bump was, yes, definitely a 70s dance. Okay, the robot, yes. Yes, don't show everything at once. Yes, I can. You already know that. You already know that. That's definitely what's happening. Um, yes. Now the Patty Duke and the Spank thing, I think that was closer to the 80s than the 70s. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Okay, let me see. And then yep, my time is up, so I'm definitely gonna get off. This is what I mean when we didn't only break dance. People outside of the culture don't know we created dance every month. Every month, they were creating dances every week. They were, a lot of times what would happen was the person that created a dance one week another person would see that dance and say, "Oh, I could do that better," and then create another dance. So for a while, dances were created every week, not every month, every week, and that really, really, really happened. So I say it all the time. that our type of dancing fits what we do. Like if we're creating a dance to couple up, that dance is going to be the couple up. If we create a dance to show off just by your solo, then we're going to create a dance like that. And so all of these dances are basically, and then what happens is you have a group dance, a dance where everybody wants to do it at the same time. And that happened. Okay, but listen, I gotta go. Oh man, I gotta take these two more though. Two more, and that's it. Did the Campbell Lockers ever collaborate with breakdancers in the Bronx back in the early days? Well, I remember. I think it's Fred Berry. He came to the Bronx, and he was actually, oh God, I can't even remember what who the guy was, but he had a musician family member that lived in the Bronx, and he lived over back in this was like it was considered rich, was but it was also considered pink, was at the Pelham Parkway area, but Pelham Parkway closer to 95. There were some houses over there, and he would come, and he would, he was very good at the robot. He was very good at the robot, and when you take your legs back and kick it out. Okay, take it back and kick it out. And since he was heavy, it really looked like it was entertaining to see him. So that was, I think it's Fred Rerun, right? That's his name. I think it's Fred Berry. I got to look it up and see what his name was. But yes, Rerun from What's Happening, and then he was in the Lockers too. Yes, he did come to the Bronx. Now the Campbell one, I can't tell you. I really can't tell you. But yes, I know for a fact that Rerun did. Okay, this last one, then I gotta go. I was born in Kevin Monroe. I was born in Hempstead, Long Island. It was the same thing. Spanish people moving into the neighborhood. It was all black. Then they started moving into the neighborhood. Yes, Fred Berry was Reruns. Yes, thank you, Riri. Yes, and he did. He came over there, and this is when it was like his. Oh God, I can't think of what his. I know he was a musician, and it must have been an uncle or something. And he stayed that summer. That summer, I remember he stayed, and the reason why I know this is because there was a music store on Gun Hill Road called West Manor Music. And I used to go there to get drumsticks and take lessons and all kinds of stuff. But this was one of the places that had sheet music, and his uncle used to come in there and get sheet music. So one of the times, the uncle was gonna be doing this show, and so he came and he asked me, what are some of the music that they were playing. And I remember telling him the Earth, Wind and Fire Africano, because that had a lot of drums in it. And so he was, trying to get that. But when he did that, he said that his nephew or whatever it was was here, and he wanted to, he wanted to know what was the hip music of New York. He was here from wherever Fred Berry is from, I think California or whatever. And so he said that, and he told me, who he was and everything. And this is before he had any kind of Soul Train or anything. So yeah, that's how I knew it. Okay. Okay, Ill One says Pelham Bay and Whitestone were dangerous territory for blacks in the 70s. You ain't never lie. They were throwing people in near the Orchard Beach way before the new era did that. But that's another story. So, okay, let me put this up and see. And like I said, see people, see what happens when you donate. If you remember, the logo was up there. Now you see the different logo that's up there. So I will be able to split the screen. I will be able to put up different pictures. I will be able to put up video. And the more donate, the more things can happen. And that's just it. That's just it. D from What's Happening used to come to Bronx too. Yes, definitely. She used to come to Bronx now to keep it real. Yes, yes. I remember the cousin. Yes, I think the cousin was either it was Michelle or what was her name? Yes, I remember. Yes, the D from Good Times. God rest her soul. Was a good girl. But anyway, that's it. That's it. My time is up. And I will be here tomorrow. I gotta figure out what's the best time to come tomorrow, but tomorrow is gonna be on. So we went through a little bit of the 1970 Daniel Spencer. Yes, we went through a little bit of 1970, but we'll definitely be going to 71, which is the actual date and the day of hip hop as we know it. So thank you guys. Thank you guys.